Hello, Scott.
Hello, Lucas.
Well, it's
Nice to be on with you.
yes, I think it's really nice to have this opportunity to talk with you. I think you have a very interesting profile within the tango world. And we have a very interesting topic today as well. But first, for those who are not familiar with you, can you share a few words about who you are and what you do?
Sure. So I'm originally from Southern California. Um, I started tango in 2007 in Arizona, and then spent about 5 years in New York and San Francisco. And then I decided in July of 21 to be a digital nomad. And so far, I've traveled through Europe and South America, and I've been to about 25 countries and 65 cities so far.
So, I think it's kind of interesting because we're doing this tango thing here, and like this is a tango channel. But on YouTube, I know that there's a lot of there's also a niche, so to say, about being a digital nomad. And I'm not sure that probably not everyone who's listening knows what a digital nomad is. I mean, they may have understood from the context of what you just said about traveling around and being in all these countries, but maybe the whole philosophy or is not very clear to them. So can you explain that in your own words, what it means to be a digital nomad before we even talk about tango?
For sure. So a digital nomad in general is a person that has a remote job of any kind, uh, and travels. Some people are working in the tech industry, like I do, or other people. I mean, you'll see it often now being travel bloggers or travel guides of some sort. Um, so for me, I worked at a tech company out of Boston in their IT operations department. I was the manager there, and I worked for them for about mm, on this travel for about 2.5 years. Um, and it allowed me to decide to leave San Francisco, and um, and I decided to go a little crazy, and I actually decided to leave all of my things behind. I actually threw everything away into the
Oh,
garbage, just to clean clean slate. I didn't have enough time to do things the proper way of trying to sell them to people or donation or whatever. I just wanted to move on to this next big adventure that I had decided on. And so being the digital nomad allowed me to do that, having this digital career. Um, so the work that I was doing was helping employees start the company and leaving the company and managing the security of the company and the applications that we all use to do our work. So I was, as typical with tech startups, I had to wear a lot of different hats. So yeah, that's how I started at least.
yeah, but essentially, like it doesn't even matter so much what you're doing, but the point is that you can go anywhere you want where there's a reliable internet connection and do your thing
Correct.
and
Yeah,
then enjoy your life outside of that work in different places. I guess
exactly.
that's the point.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I've worked from home, from the beaches in Cancun um, to being in Brazil in Sao Paulo and working there to here in Argentina in Buenos Aires. So I'm all over.
yes, yes. And what made you like you said something about the blank slate, but what made you decide to pursue this lifestyle?
I think a lot of it had to do with the pandemic. We all felt the same of being stuck and wanting to be out and explore again. And for me, I had been, bitten by travel wonder, travel lust for a long while. And it had always been kind of on the mind of, oh, that would be really cool. And because of the pandemic and because of the work that I was doing, which allowed us all to go fully remote, you know, this was the time now that the pandemic was opening up, and this was in July of 21. Then it was time that I had the potential and the opportunity to, because of the job, to actually start to travel the way I wanted to. So yeah, so that was the main reason. It was just everything kind of aligned and worked out well.
Yes, and was there also a tango motivation in that, like a reason?
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, with tango, I mean, I think we're very lucky that we we dance a dance that is so niche, but exists kind of everywhere. And the travel that I had done in, you know, my previous years in the U.S., um, you know, it was very relevant that you could really travel wherever you wanted, and and you would be fine, you know, with tango, because you go into a milonga, you don't know the language, but you know, get that one tanda, and it sparks that, oh hey, there's this new person here, so why don't we go see what they're all about, and you know, and then that can obviously turn into, as you and your listeners know, that turns into, hey, let's go for coffee, let's meet for dinner, let's, you know, or you know, let's go to this marathon or this festival or go on this road trip or whatever it might be. You know, just it kind of rolls on through. So having tango has really been this really great cornerstone for me of stability, and it's a great, you know, net to have. We always, you know, whenever I see these other digital nomads, they always say, how do you get around to meet people, to meet
Uh,
new people? And I don't have to worry about that because we have tango. You know, I meet people, new people all the time. So tango has been really great because of the travels. Yes.
yes, and is there like a particular sequence to places you traveled, or was it just random, or?
A lot of it is random. A lot of it is, it's a mix of, you know, as I have met people with my travels, them saying, "Hey, check this thing out, check that thing out," or "Come to my city." So, or let's do this activity. So that kind of becomes easy. But then at the same time, it's just me wanting to go explore different places and different cities. Um, so it's really all over. You know, it depends on the people who are offering. It depends on my mood. It depends on visas
Yeah.
as well. You know, being in Europe, we have you guys have the Schengen zone, so I can only be there 90 days out of 180.
Yeah.
So I have to get a little creative about where I go and how I travel. So yeah,
Yes. And right now you're staying in Buenos Aires, I think.
I am. Yes. So I my goal kind of is to spend about 6 months in Buenos Aires a year. So to not do winter anymore. So I've this is now my sixth summer in a row. Um, and it's great being in Buenos Aires just because if from a tango perspective, it's just a completely different animal from anywhere else in the world. Just from the perspective of there's so much of it here. You know, yes, there's the milongas, but then you have, you know, 15 to 20, if not more, milongas a day. You have all kinds of teachers and classes you can take. There are, you know, all the orchestras that we all love to hear, like Romantica and Tango Bardo. They play just at a regular milonga, and then, you know, amazing performances. So there's a lot of inspiration here in Buenos Aires. So it's great to be in this environment, and summers down here are fantastic. So yeah, I like spending summer in Buenos Aires.
Yes, but it also means that you're not staying there permanently.
Correct. Yeah, even when I'm here, I don't go back into the same apartment. I'm not collecting a bunch of stuff. I'm still not living here, if you will.
Yes.
Um, I don't have a home here. And Um, so I'm still, even though I'm spending 6 months here, I still feel like I'm this nomad just passing through. I'm still just a tourist.
Yes, and like I have a bit of a like a why question there. So like it would seem very human to me to want to look for some kind of stability after a while when the
Hmm.
novelty wears off, but I guess not because you're still living this way. So there must be something in it that keeps you engaged, right? So what's the secret?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the whole thing has been about um, the freedom of it, right? Being free to do what I want when I want, right? And to not be burdened by the things that we collect, right? Like every book, every piece of furniture that we collect all has a story and it all weighs down on a person, I think. And it grounds you, and a lot of people like this, the grounding of being having their things around them and being in an apartment that makes them happy, and and that's great. But for me, I've really enjoyed this idea of not having that attachment. So it allows me to travel, right? It allows me to say, all right, well, I'm done with Buenos Aires now, and I have the freedom, the option to go wherever I want because I'm not paying for rent. I'm not paying, I'm in this mentality of I'm not paying to have things in my life, right? Like again, like the furniture or the books or whatever, which means that money can then go towards other experiences, right? Not buying that extra pan or that extra, ladle or whatever it is, right? So I have, by not being in the mentality of wanting to have things, it allows me to have more experiences.
Hmm. Yes, and
Yeah.
but but for example, if you still have to work 8 hours a day, for example,
Mm.
like it seems kind of stressful to me, but I'm just an outsider, but it seems a bit stressful to me that um you still actually have that responsibility weighing on you. Uh, it's not like you're retired. So,
No.
but you,
Well, right now I kind of am because I unfortunately had to go through a round of layoffs and I was impacted. So right now I'm kind of retired or midlife crisis, who knows?
yes,
But
yes.
no, from that perspective, it's I book a lot of my apartments through Airbnb or booking.com or something like this, right? So, and I always look for nicer, more homey places, right? Places that I could see myself spending 8 hours in at a time, right?
Ah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and then otherwise, for me, I've decided to be very simple with my work. When I was in San Francisco, I had the whole setup, right? I had my own little office. I had the raised stand to raised desk. I had two monitors. I had the ergonomic keyboard. I had the perfect setup, right? But now I'm fine just working on my laptop, and again that allows me to work wherever I am, right? Like literally, I worked on the beach of in Cancun, like on one of those big solar beds, right? Um, and it's just great to have that opportunity alone, right? Like to be in that space where you aren't you aren't in that box of I have to be in this space to work, right? Whether that's your office at home or your office in an office, right? So having the mentality that it is okay to be in different places, and maybe it's not the most perfect setup for that day, but it works, you know.
Yes. I guess a lot of the stability we have as humans is actually rather deceptive because we probably don't even need it as much as we think we do. Well, I guess some
Mm.
people are more flexible than others, so you're probably more on the flexible side there. But it's yeah, it's still very inspiring. And so, for example, if you're 6 months in Buenos Aires now, if they end, like for example, if you say like, well, I've never been to Chile, let's go to Chile, you can just do that essentially.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. Yes, and it's very
Yeah.
interesting. And in terms of tango, um, so you're entering new scenes all the time.
Mhm.
Well, maybe not in Buenos Aires, but that Buenos Aires is so big that you can still keep discovering places after a while, I guess. But
Yes.
so once you start traveling again, so how does that look like? Um, can you give me like some anecdotes or an example of a city where you arrived and how you found tango there or something in like specific? I don't know. It's just a question. I'm not sure if you can work with it, but let's try.
Oh, yeah. So I think that the main thing to start with the mentality of going into any new community, whether it's tango or anything else, I think, is you're walking into sorry, hold on one second. No. You're walking into an environment where people are have been going there already and they're already set on their friends, right? They know who they want to dance with, who they want to hang out with, etc. And I find that especially in larger communities, people often see this tourists that are coming in, they often see this as spaces being cliquey, um, or not open. And and for me, sure, to some perspective, I could understand that, but at the same time, I look at it from this idea that no, I'm just going out to hang out with my friends, and I'm not paying attention to the new people all the time. Um, unless you're really a good community minded person and you are dedicating your time at tango to looking around at everyone and to seeing how they're doing in the space, if they're getting dances, things like this. And I used to be that in San Francisco and New York. I would look around at the other people and make sure that they were dancing, and I would always try and be on the lookout for new people. um so I think at a starting level, like going in knowing that I don't know anyone. I don't expect anyone to know me, and just going in to be in the space, I think is the main thing. Um, so going in with a very relaxed, zero expectations attitude, right? Um, and so if you get dances, then it's great. But I think a lot of people that I talk to, they tend to think that when they go into a new space, they will be seen right away, or they will get the dances that they want right away, or what have you. And I think for me, that's putting too much pressure on a community that you don't know. Um, so yeah, whenever I talk to younger dancers, I always say go into any milonga with zero expectations, because you never know what the night is going to be like. So I think that that's a big piece for me with going into new communities. And I've had my range, right? Some communities have really kind of uh, been interested and have embraced me, and others are not as much, for a very wide set of reasons. So yeah.
Yes, I think that's some very solid advice for people who struggle with this reality of tango. Just the lack of accessibility, or at least the way it's perceived to be a lack of accessibility of scenes where you don't know anyone. But I think yeah, it's an interesting way of looking at it in like an alternative perspective. Um,
Mhm.
so I was wondering if you're visiting all these places all the time, and like it must be really enriching for your tango if you're exposed to all these different people and all these. I mean that's how I imagine it to be. If you're like some people, they're only really stuck in the same place always, and then you get some visitors, but people are mostly dancing with the same person, but you are constantly getting these new yeah, this new input. Has this digital nomad thing also helped you improve as a dancer?
I think so. I think being exposed, like yes, being exposed to anything new is always beneficial. I think taking the courage to step out of your comfort zone, out of your box is huge. Um, so I think for me, getting to explore all these different communities, it has really enriched my tango. And I am fortunate that I do dance both roles in the leader role and the follower role and in heels. So I feel that I'm even more lucky that I not only get to dance and experience with with followers, um, but I get to see the other side as well and dance with all of these amazing leaders um, that that most people wouldn't be able to dance with because or most men because they don't know how to follow yet or they're too shy or they haven't started right. So for me, I find that having both of those in my pocket, being open and willing to dance with everyone, but then also having the ability to do that. So I think to the cities, to the dancers that I have danced with, I think it has really changed my dancing a lot in the last 2.5 years that I've been doing this now. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's a really interesting topic, the being a follower as a man. I mean, it's still not very, very common, I would say. So I'm really curious, like you're constantly, like you have been entering these new scenes again and again. And if you're a good leader as a guy, I mean, it's relatively easy because they're always in demand. But the other way around. So how does it work? How do you just start somewhere and then hope people see you follow, or it's just something
Yeah.
that particularly interests me because I'm trying to follow as well. I'm learning to follow, but it's just a bit tough sometimes because it's not really like the normal pattern.
No, of course. I mean, I think I've definitely been inspired by all of the women who have decided to start to lead, right? Um, and there is this growing community of women leading, and the quality that I see is really fantastic, across the board. And I've been fortunate that I have followed most of my tango career, and so now being at the Milongas where I have this capability, um, I I I obviously watch the floor to find leaders who might be interested, who maybe I see them already dancing with another leader, or maybe they're following. So I try and start with that, but then otherwise I do go for friends who or for men that do look like they have nice musicality, nice movement, whatever it might be. And usually the way I think about it is I'll start maybe looking around during the second song of a tanda, and maybe I can find a leader to dance with, and then I figure 2.5 songs, it's not that much of a commitment, right? Otherwise, if you start at the beginning of the first song, then all right, four songs is a lot for
Yeah.
somebody who might not want to dance with me. So, and I also try to kind of do it for more of a maybe a chataseo, which I know a lot of people don't like, but especially in
Sorry,
this weird
did you mean a talcaseo? Did,
takaseo, a
yeah, okay, yeah,
chataseo.
yeah. What
Yeah,
I understood was a tapaseo, so like you tap on someone's shoulder, but you
or
mean
yeah,
the
to
talking.
talk. Yeah,
Yeah, well, that's helpful
um,
because if you need to rely on normal cabeceo all the time and you want to follow as a guy, I mean, it's kind of complicated.
it's very rare that I mean, very rare that guys will be looking at another guy, to dance, right? So I have if I am cabaseoing, then I have to be like, hello, let's go, super wide eyed, like very, very clear. Which I do that in general, but so it's not the easiest thing, and I also don't want to make anyone uncomfortable. But at the same time, I am hoping that I can find, at least a couple guys at every milonga who are willing to take, a chance for 6 minutes. Um, so yeah, that's kind of my strategy at least.
Yes, and most of it is the Takaseo, or did I
No, it is a mix.
a mix? Okay.
Some of it is a chattaseo, some of it is, in an introduction, especially if it's a new space, an introduction in a chat, maybe be at one milonga, and then maybe subsequently later on, then there's a dance. Or again, if I see somebody dancing, a man dancing in either role already, then
Yeah, that makes it
I'm
much
already
easier.
assuming that they're open, so I can go over.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so it's a range,
Yes.
or sometimes in some communities, men are just actually open, especially after if I have gotten one or two dances already, then they see me and then they're like, oh well, okay, maybe we can take a chance on him. So yeah, it's a wide range. Yeah.
Yes, and whether it's leading or following what you try to do you also use like, for example, social strategies to get to know people or talk to the organizer to see whether people can introduce you to someone, or do you use any of that stuff?
So yes, to some extent, I always appreciate an introduction. Um, and I, whenever I'm in a milonga, I do try and at least say hi to the organizers, thank them for the space and the time and things like this. But at the same time, I enjoy watching the space and deciding on my own, right? Um, so it's a wide range. You know, I know that, for example, for myself, I know I am not very good about doing introductions. So I am not
Oh,
usually the type of person that you'll want to come to be introduced to, because I don't know, I'm just bad at it
okay.
in a funny way. I don't know. I just don't think about it for some reason until it's too late. So again, I don't expect it. I don't expect to be introduced. I don't expect to be, to get a handout. Um, so the only expectation is that I'm here, and I will do what I can to get what I want out of that night, or out of that event. So yeah.
So I guess as a last question, let's talk about the future. So how do you see the future of this? Do you want to keep traveling the way you do and dancing everywhere the way you do? Is that your
Yeah, that is the goal. 2.5 years, a little over 2.5 years now, and I'm still enjoying it. I don't want to stop. Um, Even now that, like I said, I don't have a job now. Um, but I feel that I still want more. It's not going to stop me. I mean, a job will always come around at some point, so that's not a worry necessarily. Um, so yeah, I will continue. This summer, I'm actually going to go. I think it's still in the works, but I think I'm going to go to Asia.
mm,
Um, I'm thinking right now, Thailand, Cambodia, maybe Shanghai, Busan, and a few other places. So I'll do summer this year in Asia, explore that tango scene and explore everything else as always. So no, I am not going to stop.
okay? Did you primarily choose these places because of tango or the other way around, or is it a mix?
It's a mix again.
Okay.
I yeah, I'm. It's also kind of triggered because of a few things. That the work, I couldn't go to Asia because of working hours before, so I
Ah,
figure
yeah.
this is the perfect time.
Sure.
Otherwise, well, when I have a job, I would be working at night in Asia. So I'm using this as that opportunity, this window, and my dad might travel with me for a little while as well. He's wanted to go to Asia, leave the U.S. really for the first time. So I thought, what better time to go than hang out with dad? So, but then on top of that, yes, there is tango. in a few of the cities, a few marathons, a few festivals as well. So yeah, so it's all kind of the same. We'll see what happens with the adventure.
Yeah, well, I think it sounds like the perfect tango lifestyle. There's so much freedom and so much opportunities to go and meet people, and it sounds really exciting. And I'm happy I was able to make a video about this because I think a lot of people will find this rather interesting. At least I did. So good luck with your travels, and if you come back to the Netherlands, make sure to let me know. And then we'll go to
I
some
will, of
milongas
course.
together. Yeah, it sounds really good.
Yes.
So well, good luck, and speak to you another time.
Thank you. Yes, it was a great pleasure to speak with you today. Thank you.